are you, man? Are you having a crazy day or?
Yes, I am. So every Thursday, I
Yeah.
record something. Hold on one sec. I record something called the Austin Supper Club, where my Thursday co-host and I visit different restaurants and businesses around the city and have really interesting conversations with people who have been through the trials and tribulations and
Of running a business?
of running a business, of running a restaurant,
That's some, yeah,
which is a very
it's
unique.
hard.
Yeah, I mean the margins were already razor thin, and with what has happened to prices in the last few years, it's just
Mm,
complicated things even more. And then in the back of my mind, while all that was going on, and it was a fun conversation. Don't get me wrong, is that uh,
hmm
I was about to be speaking with a comedy legend when I got home and rushed to get everything set back up in my home studio. But we're here now, and it's good. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't know how, and we could start whenever. I don't know how people run businesses, man. In general, I swear to God, I've always been a guy who, I guess I'm running my own business poorly, but that kind of responsibility, man, that kind of stress, right? The stress.
that's exactly right. Full disclosure for you, because I've been in broadcasting for a little bit more than 25 years now. This radio show and podcast is essentially a small business. And so I'm responsible for
Yeah,
everything. And
yeah.
the small amount that I make, I have to put it back into the product so that the
Mm,
product keeps getting better also. So I understand why young people give a go at this, but me at
hmm
47 with a wife and a couple of young kids,
You have kids.
like figuring out that balancing act is a very difficult thing. But like with you in comedy, it's like in my blood now, man. So I've thought about doing other stuff. I can't go to school to become an electrician now. I mean, I could. That wouldn't be the end of the world, I don't think. But I also
Right.
understand what pursuing that dream is like, and the results maybe not always matching what your initial expectations are, but you are taught to pursue dreams as a kid, Eddie,
Yeah,
in
yeah.
part because you should enjoy what it is that you're doing, but it also fosters new dreams along the way as well.
That's true. And it really is like you say, you put it like it's in your blood, and comedy is in my blood. Once you start to like realize yourself, or feel your authenticity in the world, that's the biggest thing. Because so many people are going to jobs that isn't them, and they wind up having nervous breakdowns, whereas I professionally have a nervous breakdown every night. You know what I mean? Like I kind of fake a nervous breakdown every night. It actually is very cathartic for me to go on stage and just scream about everything. And it's funny because I'm that kind of comedian who is like full of this angst. People always come up to me and say, "Thank you so much. You are expressing just how I feel, especially these days."
Yeah, I would imagine that the laughter is one level of validation for what it is that you do, but to have people come up to you and really personalize it after the fact has to be something special.
That really is special. And I'm older now, man, but I love traveling. It grinds on my body, but I love meeting people from all over and having that kind of response. And it blows me away that it's not just my friends, it's people that I've touched, people I don't know, and it becomes like a big family, you know? That kind of thing. Like that. We all need, listen to me, this is too much coffee. We all need like community. We all need to connect to other people. And it's weird because, we live in a digital age where it's so easy to just hide behind a computer, Facebook, whatever it is?
I am completely with you. People are probably tired of hearing me talk about this, but I
Mm.
like asking people, and maybe ignorantly, I've only really asked parents up to a certain point this question, and that is the biggest challenge
Hmm.
for parents in 2025. So I'm actually going to ask you before we're all said and done here, Eddie.
Hmm.
You have kids? I actually I don't even know.
No,
Okay, so
no.
I'm
And let
interested to
me,
hear your answer, but before that, though, in my opinion, the biggest challenge is making sure that you're raising present little humans, people who can get by without a screen in their face at all hours of the day, because I see way too much of this. And by the way, this isn't just kids that are guilty of this. I'd say in some ways,
oh,
adults are even more guilty of it. But finding people who can actually just be in the moment is sadly becoming a little bit of a lost art now.
absolutely. Absolutely. Which is why there's a whole another swing to mindfulness. Have you, like all of the wellness and mindfulness, some of it is a big ripoff, but it also is very true. I don't know if you are into meditation at all, because our lives are so busy, busy, busy. It is so hard for me anyway to just take a breath,
Hmm.
like to take a breath and just be like, okay, I don't have to do a million things right now. Because when we go too fast, we don't do things well, I think we get by, but it's when we can, breathe and really kind of be in the moment that we do things with depth, and it helps our business, whatever it is. And people relate to people who have presence, so good for you for raising your kids. I have a bit about, I go, I never had kids. I didn't play that game. To me, people who have children are cowards, and I'll tell you why. Kids give you a reason to live. Try being me, getting up with nothing to live, nothing to live for. And I go on about that.
I love that because me as a dad, I won't say I'm a begrudging dad, but when my wife and I decided to be okay with kids, it was the result of watching all of our friends struggle to get pregnant. And we're like, all right, we'll pull the proverbial goalie here. And if it happens, great. And if it doesn't, well, we'll just be free, rich adults. And it actually happened really quickly, unfortunately. Now, I'm not saying I regret either of my kids, Eddie, but it's like,
Right.
damn, if we had known it was going to happen this fast, we would have kept the goalie in for a little bit longer because we were only a year into marriage and we would have liked to have traveled the country and the world a little bit more as two
Well,
free people, I guess. But I respect the
mhm.
hell out of anybody who has made the decision to go that other direction because there are benefits on all sides. And I love being a dad and I wouldn't want to do it any other way at this point. But I
Yeah.
love to hear about other people who have taken a different path and are okay with it and who can have fun with it on stage like yourself.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, there are different benefits. I can imagine being a parent. It just must make you like, God, I can, I have dogs, okay? And I'm so attached to these dogs. They are my kids. I'm like kidding. Like, one of my dogs, Charlotte, is getting older, and I'm like, oh God, please. I'm carrying her up and down steps now. I can't imagine like tending to a human being. The responsibility of that blows me away. Like, and I know probably to be a parent, you kind of have to forget about that and just live and be with the kid and and do your thing. You can't reflect too much about danger for the kid. You know what I mean? I was always too scared that I would screw up my kids if I had kids.
Oh, everybody screws them up in some way, shape, or form. Even the
Hmm.
supposedly perfect
Hmm.
parents. I don't want to hear that you
It's
haven't
true.
made any mistakes. If you're a parent that says you haven't made mistakes, you're probably raising kids that lack that self-awareness and are
Oh,
unwilling
yeah,
to admit when they make mistakes and rather look for somebody else to blame.
absolutely. And I think perfectionism is the worst thing in the world. People have to be able to make mistakes. That's the biggest learning thing. I've put all my energy in life, not all of it, but so much of it into just being a comic. Um, and just growing that way. But I would imagine that having kids is like a fast track to growing as a human being. Like you have to grow up, man.
Not just that, well, I guess if you're remaining present, back to that word, but it also, at least for me, gave me a too great a sense of my own mortality. Like I've never
Mm.
gotten nervous on airplanes before, but ever since I started having kids, just not even the littlest bit. Sometimes it's not a full blown panic attack, but I get really anxious on takeoff because you look out the window and you see how fast you're going, and you're like, if one little thing happens here,
Oh
we're
yeah.
all completely screwed. And then I have to remind myself that our ability to fly in these 10 cylinders around the country and around the world is one of humans' greatest inventions and innovations. And it allows us to do a lot of really cool stuff that otherwise would
Absolutely.
literally take months or years to even get to.
Yeah, we'd be the Donner Party.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm thinking
Those
about
poor people.
I'm thinking about the old George Carlin quote, pets
Mhm.
are many tragedies. I've got a couple of mini tragedies in my household as well. Eddie, considering how long you've been doing it and how many different generations of comedy that you've seen throughout that process, did you ever have any interactions with George Carlin?
You know what? That's one of my biggest, not regrets, but like I wish I would have met him. I never interacted with George Carlin, and all the comedians that I know who did uniformly say what a great guy and like what an encouraging guy to other comics.
Hmm.
You know, just like so helpful to other comics. I mean, so I never did meet him or Richard Pryor, and then my other big guy, Bill Hicks. Those three guys.
I was
You
going to ask
too?
about him because he's my favorite. He's a Texas guy. Did you ever cross paths
He's
with
the
Hicks?
Texas. No, I never did. The Outlaws, I never did, man. He was based in Houston for a while, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. I wasn't sure about your comedic past. I know that you are known as an LA guy now. Bill Hicks did
No,
spend
yeah.
some time out in LA with Sam Kinison, so I
Oh, I
didn't know
know.
if paths may have crossed then or not.
No, because I hadn't been out to LA yet. I was a New York guy until my early 40s. And then I've been in LA for 23 long years. And I'm a little tired of it because the sun comes out every day like an alcoholic parent. You know, every day the sun comes out and it's like you cannot watch bondage pornography. Okay, the sun is too shiny. You know, get productive. You know, it's just that it's a white canvas out there.
Yeah.
You need different shades. So I'm thinking about moving back east. I'm thinking about moving to the Hudson Valley in upstate New York. You know, I have a bunch of friends there. My sister has a house there, and I'm very good at leeching off of people. You know, I'm like instead of a hobo with the bindle stick, I'm a comedian with the knapsack going, hey, you mind if I just settle here for a bit? I'll be funny and
Well,
I'll
hopefully,
last.
your rebuilt Achilles allow you to hop the occasional train if you need to.
You know about I tore my Achilles in both feet 10 years apart.
I
Both
mean, when
playing
I heard
basketball.
that, I was horrified, Eddie, because I know how debilitating even one is.
Oh yeah, and you know what? Is I'm watching athletes do it all the time.
Yeah.
Like they're doing nothing when it happens. They're like standing there and they jog and boom, they're down and they're out, man. And I know that feeling, man. The first time it happened to me, I was like, the first time, I was like, hey, I had gone up for a shot in basketball. I was playing one on one. I had just gotten to beautiful Steamboat Springs, Colorado, a summer camp for kids, comedy. And I was going to teach them comedy improv. And the first night I'm there, I'm playing basketball. And I went up for a shot and I heard a pop. It's loud. You hear it. And it feels like someone threw a rock from behind me and hit my ankle. And I looked to see if there was someone behind me. And then I put my foot down and I'm like, is this pavement crooked?
Ah,
And then, because your foot is dangling.
yeah.
And then I was in surgery like 2 days later.
Did you still do the comedy improv camp?
You know what? I did because, the surgeons up in Steamboat Springs are amazing because they deal with so many of these types of injuries from skiers.
Yeah.
And I believe I had the former Seattle Seahawks doctor. I had a really good surgeon because my Achilles, man, I have been voted best Achilles two, three times already in the summer league. And then 10 years later, I'm playing in LA a little basketball, and boom. And this time I knew what it was. And I just go, my summer's gone. It was at the beginning of the summer. My summer is gone because the recovery is long.
Yeah, it's like a year at least, right?
For athletes, it is. For someone like me, after you're in that, first you're on crutches. Boy, I hope this makes people want to see me this weekend. First, you're on crutches, and then you're in a boot. You're on crutches 2 weeks, a boot, I think 6 weeks. And then you get the boot off, and that's when it hurts because you have to kind of relearn, walking and stuff, and a lot of physical exercise. But then you're hobbling around. But an athlete can't. They take a whole year off, right?
Well, I'm impressed that you
Football.
actually got back on the basketball court after the first one. Have you played basketball since injuring the second one?
Never, never. But do you know what I did? Another act. I'm starting to realize I'm a little accident prone, but holy Christ, there was a wedding I went to, and the night before the wedding, they had a roller skating party. Now, I used to rollerblade all over New York. I'm a big hockey guy, and you keep making the pull the goalie references. Are you a hockey person?
I love hockey. I lived in Chicago for a while when the Blackhawks were winning Stanley Cups and working for the radio station that dealt with the Blackhawks, and they were awesome. But I have
They
never
were
played
awesome.
hockey before.
Yeah, yeah. And Dallas they have a good team. The
Dallas? Yeah, they do. Yeah.
Yeah, but and I love hockey fights. It's how I get, I always just really, it's like I'm thinking of fighting my dad. Um anyway, so I decided to roller skate, you know, at the age of 66, which is what I am, and I know I look great. That's because I bathe in cucumbers. But I roller skated. I went and I had bladed. Roller skates are a little shakier, man. Anyway, and I knew something was up because they didn't feel tight around my ankles. Anyway, I took 2 steps on that shiny parquet that you roller skate on. And my feet just went out from under me.
Oh my
And
gosh.
I fell backwards with the full weight of my body. Luckily, I didn't hit my head. And also, luckily, is that the wedding was doctors, ER doctors at that. I was surrounded by doctors, all of them asking me the same question. Did you hit your head?
Yeah.
And I said, no, no, but I don't feel my back was, long story short, my back for 6 weeks and my ribs were hurting for 6 weeks.
Wait, this was a wedding that had roller skating going on at the.
Yeah, at the party the night before.
Oh,
And,
okay.
and
Okay.
you know, I spoke at the wedding. It was my sister's stepson who got married, and she wanted me to speak. And I spoke, and I said, I know I'm supposed to speak about the couple, but I want to address the people who decided to have a roller skating party. What's next, guys? Skydiving? Like, like what's the most dangerous thing you can have, you know, for people the night before a wedding?
Yeah. It's like you're tempting fate.
Oh man, I really kind of learned my lesson that I think from here on in, the most dangerous thing that I'll be doing is eating a pudding um late at night.
I know. I don't know if you're in the Cameo game where people pay you to give
Used
personalized
to be.
messages.
I felt like such a fraud. I stopped doing it.
Well, I feel like you should offer up your services to give wedding speeches. The Eddie Pepitone wedding speech has got to be one of the great things on this planet.
Yeah, yeah. It's somehow very negative and it has nothing to do with the couple. And it all just focuses on me. That's the thing about being a stand-up is that it really is such a, narcissistic thing, to be up in front of people. And I'm like this creature who lives on approval. If I can make you laugh, that means you love me. And I'm just up there. God, thank you. Thank you. And I go back to my hotel room and I'm like, oh, they loved me. They love me. I'll live another day.
So, did you say that you played hockey in New York back in
Yeah.
the 90s before you moved to LA?
Yeah, 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 yeah. I played roller hockey,
Okay,
which
I asked about that for a specific reason. So I spoke with
oh,
Steve Byrne. I speak with him whenever he comes through town to perform, and he
funny
talks
guy.
about playing roller hockey with a bunch of people. Back was when he was in New York City. Did you play with Steve? And like he said,
No.
Rick Moranis is apparently a really good player. Did you ever play with Rick
Rick
Moranis?
Moran? Oh, well,
Yeah,
yeah, he's Canadian. The
exactly.
Canadian guys grow up with hobby. No, I didn't. I just kind of did pickup games
Okay.
with friends, and we skated until we dropped. You know,
Hmm.
and I got into roller blading accidents in New York. I love to blade in New York, and I would blade down Fifth Avenue, or wherever. And people would, that thing where people open their car doors, like you're sometimes on a bike too. I used to be a bike messenger. Remember when they had bike messages?
Yeah.
I was one of them. And I used to bike message, and I got into at least three nasty falls where people would just open their car door and I'd be coming by and boom, boom, you
Uh,
know? And it is what it is. It made me a better comic. Uh,
it really forces you to pay attention to the world around you. That's for sure.
yeah, I'm amazed. When I was younger, I would just start riding the bike again. Now I realize, my limits. I just don't want to be out of it for 7 weeks. I don't recover like, I used to, you know?
No, like when I feel sciatica coming on now at the age of 47, I brace myself because I know I'm going to be crippled for like a week before everything goes
Sciatica's
down. It's like there's
bad.
nothing you could do. It's the most helpless feeling.
I had a friend who had it for almost a year. And he was screaming on his living room floor. He actually had the luxury of living in upstate New York where there were no houses around him. And, that's a nice thing that you can scream without upsetting people, except the person he lived with. That sucked for her. But he didn't have kids and no neighbors within. So you could just scream like you're in a pit of hell. Because I find, the only place I get privacy is in my car in LA. I go and cry in my car when I'm driving. Crying in one's car is a lost art. I did a whole bit about. In New York, you cry on the street. You're walking. You're always walking in New York. In LA, you cry in your car.
Because in New York, nobody's paying attention to the fact that
Nobody gives a damn that you're crying on the street. As a matter of fact, people get afraid if they see someone crying, and especially if it's a guy. They're just like, oh, let's get the hell out of here.
yeah, let's not ask any questions. We don't want to hear about his
No,
feelings or emotions.
no. But you see a woman crying, you're like, what's the matter? Can I help in any way?
It depends on how attracted you are to her, Eddie, as to how much you care.
That's very true. That's very true.
So we mentioned, or you mentioned at the start of this conversation about comedy getting into your blood. Was there a moment in making people laugh where you felt that? It may have even been before you ever got on stage where you felt that burning desire
Yeah.
to continue doing it.
You know what? You're right. It happened before I got on stage. I used to hold court with my friend. I mean, I was always addicted to laughter, and I was never a tough kid, and that's how I got approval. That's how I kind of won over the guys who wanted to kill me. You know what I mean? Like I would be funny, you know. I even say now that, with all the stuff going on in this country, and if, pretty soon it might just be warlords as the democracy gets taken away. And I said, I'll still survive. I'll be strapped to one of those gigantic SUVs, naked, blood covered in blood. But I'll be like, yeah, boss, let's go over there and kill that guy. And I'd be making the warlord laugh instead of playing the guitar like in the Mad Max movies. The
Yeah.
guys playing the guitar who are strapped to the front of on the grills of these vehicles. I'll be like strapped going, what's hilarious about the digital age or whatever, like just making people laugh.
Yeah, like a dystopian court jester.
Exactly. Exactly. The apocalyptic mirth maker.
Love that.
Um, but yeah, so I just fell in love with making people laugh, making my dad laugh, my childhood kind of sucked like any good comedian, and making my dad laugh. I used to wait till we drank a lot of iced tea. My dad would take a sip of iced tea, and if I really was in some funny stuff, I could make the iced tea go through his nose.
Ooh.
Like make him laugh so hard. I don't know. There was nothing better than making my dad laugh.
That has to be the step above spit take. Making it come out of a person's nose.
Spit takes are good too, though.
It's so interesting that you used to use comedy as a way to keep from getting your butt kicked. I feel like I hear that story from comedians from time to time. Like I think Mark Normand has talked
Mm.
about that. Just one
Oh,
example in
really?
particular. Yeah, because he grew up in kind of a mixed situation in terms of the ethnic makeup of his high school in New Orleans, and he was like,
Oh, yeah.
I was one of the few white kids, so I was either going to make him laugh or I was just going to get my butt kicked every day. So I decided to go with the former, and it's part of the reason why he's so quick on his feet now.
He is super quick. He is super quick on his feet. But yeah, yeah, me too. I learned at an early age to make up things. I used to make up gibberish language to make kids laugh. I don't even remember what I did, but I did it, and it was just me being in the moment and kind of getting off on being, I think, the center of attention, the guy who's who's in charge of fun, you
Yeah,
know?
the fun czar.
Mm,
Such a thing
mm,
exists. All right,
hmm.
last question now, Eddie. We're at the end of our 30 minutes, and I really appreciate the time today. This is a
Yeah, of
true
course.
honor to speak with a living legend like you, sir. I
Oh,
love
thank
stand-up
you.
comedy. You obviously love stand-up as well. What do you
I
love
do.
about stand-up comedy?
Well, what do I love about it is, man, like to see someone like when I'm one of these comics, by the way, who watches other comedians. So many comics leave the room. They don't want it. They only will do their thing. But I love watching other comedians for those. It's just fascinating to watch live interaction with people. And where else do you get that? And also the collective feeling when it works. Man, there's nothing more cathartic than when you're with a group, right? And you have a belly laugh it's like, oh, maybe things aren't as horrible as I think they are. You know what I mean? Like, and there's certain comics who make me belly laugh like Bill Burr, just off the cuff. And it's, things happen in the moment there. Talk about being present, you know? Talk about being, that's why I get mad when I see someone on their cell phone when I'm performing.
Eddie,
I'm like,
Eddie, I saw it happen at a Dave Attell show about a year and a half ago, and Ian Fidance was opening for him, and it happened
oh
when
yeah.
Ian was on stage. It
When
was
Ian was on stage?
Ian was on stage at the time. It was these two dumb girls. I have no idea why they were even at the show. They were on their cell phones the entire time, and we were front row. And I was about to say something, but I'm like, I'm gonna let the comics deal with this because I know either Ian
Did they?
or Attell will take care of it. Ian completely dismantled these two girls. They ended up walking the show as they should have because it
Good,
was humiliating for
good.
them. But it's like,
Yes.
guys, and it's why like the comedy shows that do the yonder pouches now, where it's like put your phone in there.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a
Yeah.
culture shock for people the first time they do it, but it's like, no, this is the way it needs to be. We need to put our focus on the person on stage and know that's not a
Yes.
call for you to yell stuff out during the show. If the comedian addresses you, that's fine. Otherwise, sit back and enjoy what this person may have
Yeah.
been preparing for months, if not years.
Yeah, I love those things too. You call them yonder
Yonder
packages?
pouches. Yonder is the name of
Okay.
one of the pouches. I
Well,
don't
okay,
know the
okay.
other versions of
But
it.
I also like to go, they took your phone. You can't get in that pouch, huh? Like I'll do that. I'll go, a lot of great stuff. And they don't take the comics phone, of course. And I'll have my phone, I always record the sets and I'll take it off the stool and go, there's a lot of good stuff going on. Oh my God, you don't know what you miss anyway. And I always like, I lick my phone. I'm like, I'll see you later, baby. I gotta perform for about 45 minutes for these assholes, but I'll see you later and we'll scroll.
And that's the sort of antagonizing that you have a shot at checking out this weekend at a phenomenal venue for stand-up comedy, Creek in the Cave. He is the legendary Eddie Pepitone, a sort of dystopian joker, if such a thing ever exists. Doing it 2 shows Friday, 2 shows on Saturday. Go to creekandcave.com for tickets. Eddie, as I've said a couple of times, this is a true honor for me as somebody that gets to talk with a lot of stand up comedians. Thank you so much for the time today, man. Best of luck, and hopefully, this isn't the last time for you and me.
Yeah, thank you so much, Trey. Awesome. Great talk.